Viewers, and welcome back to D.India Focus. I'm your host Anshuman, and today we'll be having an exciting event called D.India Focus Digital Summit. And today we have a special guest, our founder, director, and chief editor, Sricharan.
Hello, Anshuman. It's great you being hosting this program.
Thank you, thank you. First of all, congratulations on getting selected on the top 2000 super speakers season 3.
Thanks.
Congratulations on that.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
So today's session is all about how digital India has impacted the media industry. So let's get right into it. My first question to you, Sricharan, is how the digital revolution in India transformed the news media industry, and what are the key challenges and opportunities that has emerged?
When it comes to your question, the digital India narrative is on one side, and we are looking at the media industry on the other side. So the media industry has grown tremendously in the past few years. That too, looking at the digital India sense. Now, when you ask me about the challenges, the first challenge which I look at is the bad journalism which is going on. The bad journalism means everyone runs behind the views, everyone runs behind the subscribers, everyone runs behind the followers, and that has become a new normal for every one of us. And that shouldn't happen, because when you are focusing on the content, the only focus should be on the content and nothing else. When you give the right content to the people, they'll subscribe to you, they'll follow you, because they want that content. That narrative should be put out. And my second point is the false journalism, which is accompanied with the bad journalism, which I said. The false journalism is a new trend, because everyone wants to put the news first, put the news fast. The focus is not on who is right. They just want to put the news, and that's the motive which the news channels are running behind. The false fake narrative is put across to the people. What do I mean by false fake narrative over here is the news channels today, they don't put the people's opinion. They have their own opinion being put across to the people. And that type of business model is being used by many of the news medias, and I find it really dangerous in the coming future. So that has been a big challenge. And when we look at the opportunity, there are many creators who can come up with the content. But that also becomes a point of concern where people don't think of what they're putting across. They just put their views across without thinking what it would cause in the future. There are many violence which has been occurred due to all these small incidents which has occurred. At last, what it has opportunities, it has challenges. How you look at it becomes the major perspective.
So a person should do their due diligence in order to convey a news when they have a mass audience. That is what you're trying to say.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, on to the next question. How has the digital news platform and online journalism impacted the traditional print and broadcast media landscape in India, according to you? What are your thoughts on this?
Print media has come down. Let's agree to that fact. Let's make it clear
Correct.
that print media has come down. But the television broadcast, that's the normal television news media, have been rising since the past 15 years, and they have had their peak through the journey. We have seen a lot many journalists coming up, like Arnab Goswami, like Rajdeep Sardesai, Pranay Roy, Rahul Shivshankar, Palki Sharma. We have a lot of journalists who have come up in the face of this journey. And when you ask me about it being coming down, I don't feel it now, but it's surely going to drop down when you see the digital journalism coming up. But the second point which I want to make at this moment is that each media, where I mention each media, it means the print media, the vision media, the digital media, all these medias supplement and complement each other. Let's not forget it. Because when we look at the broadcast media, which came in around 2005, which started in 2005 as a peak, at that moment, people said that print media is going to come down. But print media came down. I agree to that fact. But print media did not come down as expected because it complemented it. And the point is, each and every news is being updated in a real-time basis now. So everything is becoming from a point of print media, everything is just getting modified. That's what I look at. Even today, people read. People don't read newspapers, maybe. A lot many people don't read newspapers. But I feel that people are just changing over, just getting modified to digital news, where we look at it through the blogs. So I feel that it's being modified, it's not being put down. Let's agree to that fact. And the second point which you said is the real-time updation of the news. That has been a unique thing in the news industry, because now today we are in the phase where we get news immediately as soon as it's out. Within few minutes we
Correct.
get the news. You look at it in Instagram, you look at it in YouTube, or in Facebook, or anywhere, or Google News. You get the news right in there. So the updation has become the major point for online journalism.
So you're trying to say that they are evolving in such a manner that they can facilitate to the newer updation of whatever is causing the downfall of the traditional media or print media. I won't call it downfall. Maybe the
Modification.
modification or the modernization of traditional media.
Yeah, that's true. It's the evolution of Indian journalism which is going on.
Okay. Then what do you think about the strategies of news organization employing in maintaining their credibility and combating the spread of misinformation or the fake news which they are giving in this digital era? Because you have lots of resources and lots of news channels which are coming up in this digital platform, and you don't know whom to trust and whom not to trust, who has the accurate factual information over just surface level, not bother to research information.
Good question. Because when we started our channel, I think you remember, I just pointed out at true news with right facts. That's the tagline we still have even today.
Correct.
Why I took that tagline is because true news, the true perspective should come out. It's not about being a left-wing journalist or a right-wing journalist. It's about a neutral journalist is what people are looking for. And the second point is that when you spoke about the false or a fake narrative being put out by every news channel, I feel that that should come down. People like these news channels who spread the fake news should think that what people need, what people require, is what they have to provide. And it's not what they provide is used by people. I'll give you an instance of such. There were 8 big YouTube channels which was banned last week due to the fake news which they are providing. That was banned by the government of India. The second thing is in the last 2 years, we have seen 150 anti-Indian sites and YouTube channels being banned. So we have such a large amount of people who are bringing fake news into the medium, and that doesn't suffice them. That doesn't suffice the people. So let's be clear that fake news, fake narratives should not be brought in. Including with the fake news, I want to mention that the right wing and the left wing should not be brought in. Let's be neutral. Let's be straight. Let's be with the facts. That's the bottom line.
Just to retouch upon the fact that the anti-Indian news channel, YouTube channels, some might be giving factual news. Just because they are anti-India does not mean that they are not factual. What are your thoughts about those YouTube channels being banned?
That's a good question. That's a valid point, because when you look at the channels being banned, 8 channels being banned, I looked at those channels. They have millions of subscribers, and even then they are being banned. So that doesn't mean that they are giving factually correct evidences. If they have evidences, they can prove it. So if they don't have evidences, they'll come up with such news which is given to the people, and people think it's right. And that's the biggest mistake being done by these news medias. That's a blunder being done by them.
They just want to amass of big followers and give whatever news they want to, so that they can sustain that number of subscribers, is what you're trying to tell. If they
Yeah,
are
maybe, or
factual,
they're
it
being funded
grows
by someone,
regardless.
or they're being funded by someone. I don't know.
Okay, let's not go in deep into that question. Let's move on. How is the shift of digital platform affecting the diversity of news coverage and their representation of various perspectives in Indian media landscape?
The Indian media, when you look at the Indian media, It has been since the past few ages. It has been the point of these news medias are to give news. From there, it changed over to giving a viewpoint. From there, now it's changing over to giving their perspective, putting their perspective into picture. And I feel that's not right. One is that the news media should think about it, the digital news medias mainly, not the broadcast medias. The digital news medias should think about it. They have to work on it. And before they give a content, let them be clear on what they're giving. Let them try to get the content right so that everything works normally. That's the main point. And people, as people, they have to be open-minded listeners, and that will help them, because people should not be one political party sided. They have to think on what is right for the nation and then listen to it.
Agree. That's a valid, very good and valid point, that they should go behind the policies and not the political parties.
Yeah,
To add on to the previous question, just a continuation of the previous question, what are the implications of growing populations of the popularity of these podcasts, video content, and multimedia storytelling for the future news consumption of India?
that's a point of concern for all of us, because the news media, when it comes digitally, has changed from the traditional medias. Traditional medias are not storytellers. They don't get the story, they don't innovate things, but they bring the perspective into picture. But here what is happening is the new digital innovators, the new content creators are bringing up storytelling into the point so that people listen to it. They have a lot of reach. So that becomes the major point. So storytelling has its own importance, but the right storytelling comes into picture again. You can't bring a false narrative, a false storytelling, a false story into this picture. So true story should be brought in. The second point is that we have seen a changeover from digital, that's the normal medias, to podcasts. People are listening to a lot many podcasts, and I feel that's a good shift over. I'll tell you why. Because these podcasts are informative. One is that they're totally informative, and second point is that they're bringing out the facts. They're not just speaking without any facts, so they're bringing out the facts. That's the second major point. So when they're bringing out the facts, they have reliability, the credibility factor pitches up. So I find it that the podcast, the storytelling, all these play an important role in the online digital media. I find it really important as we go through.
And adding upon to your point, the newer generations are attracted towards more these kind of podcast outlets or the multimedia storytelling outlets, because it's much more attractive, innovative compared to the traditional debates which go on the news, which we have seen over last few decades. uh, Probably the angle of which they approach the fact or the delivery of news might have attracted more of these younger and newer generations towards these kind of factual news outlets, which they consider to be much more relevant for this generation.
That's true, because people are looking for innovation, people are looking for the content than these traditional news medias. So I find it a valid point.
So, moving on, this is the final question. What are your thoughts on the future outlook of news and media industry within India and its impact over the globe?
When you look at the future outlook of the news media, that's going to be a big change. There's going to be a big change, because we were looking at something called as a broadcast media, and now we are changing over to a digital media. Both of them run parallelly with each other, not forgetting that fact. One thing which is going to be a future trend is that the social media influencers, the social media influencing is going to be a future trend, but that shouldn't be misused by these influencers. When people are believing them, they have to give the content, they have to give the right facts. All these should be put into perspective. The second point, which I find the future trend, is that the digital marketing. This digital marketing has started emerging already. You would have seen the digital marketing being in the trend in the last few years. So
Correct.
digital marketing has become the main source income of many of the companies right out there who are in the advertising field. They have come into digital marketing. So it has become a main source for them. And I find it a huge trend in the further coming years. The third point is, as we already spoke about, the storytelling. The storytelling has a vital role to play because people are looking at something innovative. People want something new. Only then they are going to watch you. So I find it that storytelling will have a vital role to play with all these journalism elements which has to be there, like Indian history. All these elements have to be there. With that, these new elements will join and will make it digital media for a digital India.
I agree with you upon this statement which you have made, but there are trends which the news journalism or any journalism at that particular point should be following in order to keep themselves relevant. Otherwise, there will be many outlets which will shut down just because they are not following the current trend.
As you said, I would like to add on one point. As you said on the relevance of the news media is changing, is evolving as we spoke. The one point which I thought is going to be a challenge in this evolving period is that the news is being replaced by noise in today's media. When you look at it, when those days in early 2000s or in 1990s, people used to watch DD for news. It was not noise, it was news at that period of time. Now it's transforming into noise. Second point is that sense has been replaced with the word sensation. Everything is being sensationalized, and that's a point of concern for all of us. And third is that a breaking update given once in a day or once in 2 or 3 hours is being changed over as breaking news given every half an hour in our news media. All these are challenges which we are looking forward.
So they are bombarding people with more information in order to keep themselves relevant in this space right now, is what you're trying to tell.
Yes, they want themselves to be in the spotlight. They want themselves to be active. They want people to watch. That's the main perspective.
So any end thoughts on this entire session, Sricharan?
Let me just summarize. As we spoke a lot of things. Let me just summarize.
Correct.
One is that we have seen about the quality content which has to be given, than sensationalizing things. Second thing is that innovative things will get a future than repeating the same thing. And the third thing is that real-time news updations are on. Artificial intelligence is on in the news media, and people have to update themselves. The news media have to update themselves to be in the race. Over to you.
I feel people should select on what kind of content they are consuming. They shouldn't be consuming all kind of content and uh, deciding on whether or not each and everything is true, because majority of the outlets are just pushing an agenda of having the latest and fastest news over a factual news. The next thing is what you said is news is now a noise, not and one more is news has become sensation more than sensible news. Again, the viewer should have his own ideology of what is running in this current world, whom to believe, and is whatever the news trying to tell, is it factual or not, and they should do their due diligence as well. One more, along with the influencers, if they do not know any facts about the case which they are stating, they should have a disclaimer first stating that we do not know anything about this news and we are coming from a layman's perspective. This is what I want to say and would like to summarize this entire summit. Thank you, Sri Charan. Thank you all viewers for watching. Please do like, share, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next episode. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Sri Charan.
Thank you. Thank you.